Welcome back, folks. This is Anthony from the YouTube channel, Honda Snowblower Enthusiast. Today's the last part 4 of servicing this HS828 Snowblower. We've had every week, every Friday, we've had a different parts. The first 3 parts, I'll post a link in the end of the video on the different parts, or you can go in the playlist and look for the playlist on servicing a Honda Snowblower. But I want to this is the wrap up video. Let's recap really quickly what we did in each part. I use different machines for demonstration purposes. In part 1, we did the augers. We checked the shear pins. We determined whether we needed to service the augers or not, which I have a separate video on how to service the augers or how to grease the augers. But on a service, most shops have a different method. Some have a 25-point system. Some have more or less. Every shop's different. But every shop will service every part of the Honda Snowblower. So in this position, we check the augers. We check the shear pins. You can adjust the housing guard down here. Then you can put it back on the ground. Adjust your skid shoes. You can touch up paint, straighten out your sides if they're bent. So from this position, you can do all the stuff that's inside the bucket. Straighten out the blades or the augers if they're bent. What I did was take a couple big wrenches and you can bend them back. So, and that's basically what we did on the first part. On the second part, we put the machine up on its nose. And from here, you can get an awful lot done. Starting up here, you can adjust you can oil, lubricate your clutches. You can you can lubricate your cables. You can adjust your cables. As you can see, I'm going to put a new chute cable on this one. You can adjust your ignition, your choke. This is 1132. You can check your ground wires that are connected down here. You can tighten up your handlebar support bolts. You can check your recoil starter. You can do an in-frame cleaning if you have to. We have a separate video on that. This is your carburetor. You can check your carburetor by taking off the sediment cup in the bowl and seeing if there's any rust or corrosion or white powder or anything that would necessitate a cleaning. Sometimes you have to take the carburetor off in the worst cases, but a lot of times you can do it in frame. You can check your pedal. This is on the older HS models. You can check the springs down here. You can lubricate the collar or the bushings, and check the action of the pedal. You can take this plate off and check underneath on the hydrostatic transmission and make sure that the seals are not pushed out. You can check your auger brake. You can make sure that your mounting bolts for your pedal is nice and tight on each side. You can check your forward reverse cable. There's a lot you can do in this position, and that's what we covered in part 2. Okay, now part 3, last week we put the machine back on the ground like this, and we can just basically do most everything else. You can check your adjustment for your tracks. Make sure there's not too much. Make sure they're not too tight or too loose. You can shore up your if this is loose, you can fix this. Adjust these. Here's your muffler. You can change. You can remove your plug. and check it or replace it. You can check your hydrostatic fluid. You can lubricate your right here, this part here, and lubricate your cables, and check your light. Check your cables adjustments again. A lot of times I'll do that also. You can do your oil change on a level surface. You can change your oil. And now that everything's done, that was in part 3. So if you want to watch that, I'll post the links, or you can check the playlist. As you noticed, I upgraded this machine. I've got the drift cutters on there. I installed an LED AC/DC bulb in here. I put a grease zerk in the final drive gearbox, or the right side transmission case, as some shops call it. You can check your oil in your auger gearbox on a level surface. It comes right up to here. You may have to add some gear oil. There's a lot you can do in this position, which we covered. So the upgrades are the drift cutters, the light, the zerk fitting with the new grease in the right side transmission box. And so you've got it all buttoned up. Now you've got it all buttoned up, and then you want to test it before you actually need it, or if you're a shop and you're returning this to somebody. I prepared this for the new owner, whoever that may be. It's too big for my needs, so I'll be selling it. But after you've done the whole service, you want to check it. So I'm going to put the gas back on, and I want to see if it will start. Well, it should start because I was doing that in the service. But you want to start it up and check all the operations, okay? What I'm going to do is turn it on. The engine's going to be kind of loud. And I'm going to start it. And let me see if I put the transmission. Right now it's in released because I pulled it out of the garage. I'm going to put it in an engaged position so it will go forward and backwards. Let me get my clamp. I want to clamp down the auger handle so I can make sure the augers are nice. So let's get it started, and then we'll test the drive first. Make sure the drive is nice and smooth. Oh, I forgot to mention, I changed the belts, of course. I had the bucket off. I changed both belts with the bucket off, and I changed the bearings too, the impeller bearings. The auger bearings didn't need replacement. I just repacked them with some new grease. All right, let's get this sucker started. Put it in the choke position because it's really cold this morning. I'll let it warm up just a minute or so. I want to make sure the skid shoes are properly adjusted. See how it travels nice and straight when it's scraping? You see how smoothly it drove forward and backwards? And then when I had the pedal in the middle position, the machines traveled straight down the driveway. That's what you want. If it pulls one way or the other, assuming that your tracks are adjusted exactly the same, you may have to readjust your skid shoes down here or on the sides. This one does not have side skid shoes. And then I engaged the augers. There was no clicking or clunking or any kind of weird noises, and it sounded very smooth when they were turning. And did you hear the sound coming out of the chute? I mean, that's the way a Honda should sound on these hydrostatic models when they're running. So this HS828 is serviced, ready to go. If you're buying a machine, sometimes it's to your benefit to buy a machine that's been serviced, because you're not sure what you have to deal with if the machine needs, 200 or 300 or $400 worth of work and has to go into the shop before you can use it for the winter. So this is ready to go. It's all clean. All the parts have been inspected. You watched me over the last 3-4 weeks servicing this machine. It's a beautiful 828 and it's ready to go. So I appreciate you watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe button if you think this video can help you save money. If you want to tackle some of these service points yourself, especially if you have an emergency in the wintertime and all the shops are backed up and you have some kind of problem, you'll already be ahead of the game, knowing what to check and the maintenance points on this service. I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you.